Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Maike, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my hobby YouTube channel where I like to chat about things fashion and makeup. And other content that I really like to make is eyeshadow palette related content, as well as Essence and Catrice reviews. And I like to get the use out of my products, so I do regular shop my stashes and get ready with me's and things like that. So that's sort of what you can expect from this channel. So in case you haven't joined my little family yet, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and join my little family, because I'd love to have you here. And today we have a Essence and Catrice video to chat about, because Essence and Catrice release new products every single 6 months, and I always do a first impression whenever they first launch these products, but then I always like to come on here a couple of months later to give you the full lowdown on how these products worked. So in the past couple of months, these products launched, I guess, in August, and I did 2 videos back then trying the new Essence and the new Catrice stuff, and today I'm lumping all of those together, and I've done lots of reviews with some of these products as well, either as a video, so I'll link those down below, but also dedicated product reviews over on my blog, including swatches and a more in-depth look at these products for sure. So there's lots of things that I'm going to be linking you to in the description box down below, and in this video I'm just going to give you the full summary of how I feel about some of these products now that I've tried them. Some of these were great, some of these were not so great. So let's get started. So let's start with some skincare, because that's what Essence actually came out with quite a bit. They came out with a moisturizer, a serum, as well as a face mist. And these are the products that I haven't tried yet, sadly. I already kind of predicted it at the time that by the time I will be doing this video, I hadn't quite gotten around to using these yet. A lot of the products that I'm going to be sort of using up in order to be able to use these are very, very nearly done. So I think sometime in the next couple of weeks, I will be able to start testing these out. So I will have tried them before the end of the year. However, with skincare, since my skin is quite sensitive, I cannot switch up my routine too often. I really need to make sure that my skin gets used to products, and very often my sensitivities don't come into play until I've almost used up a product. So my skin sensitivity isn't like instant. However, I just want to be very, very careful, which is why I always like to use up a product before I bring in anything new. And if I bring in too much new stuff at the same time, my skin can freak out a little bit as well, and then I don't know what it is that caused it. So I tend to be very careful with how I introduce new skincare into my routine, which is why I haven't really gotten a chance to try these yet. What I can tell you something about is some of the primers that they came out with. Both brands came out with a primer. The Anti-Redness Serum Primer from Catrice, which I actually used up today. There's only a teensy tiny bit left, and I can no longer get it out of the bottle. So that means that this product is now gone, and I can actually move on to this one and use that more often to really give it a good review. This was a lovely primer. It is more of a skincare kind of product, but it definitely does prime your face and makes it more like ready for using makeup on top. So I didn't really feel it did anything in terms of the redness. I've used up the bottle. I've used it consistently for about 6 to 8 weeks now. So, and it says here that it should reduce redness after 14 days. It did nothing to help me with any sort of redness. However, it was a lovely primer. It made my makeup last really well. It was very hydrating on the skin. If they don't discontinue this before the new round happens, then I may actually repurchase this. But when it comes to primers, like with skincare, I like to use one up before I use the next one. So this is gonna go in my use up pile. And then we have the Hello Good Stuff Primer Serum from Essence. And I actually felt when I first tried this that this is very similar to the Catrice one. So I'm very curious to see how I feel about it when I go through the bottle, whether I still like it as much as the first impression that I've had. I've used it once or twice so far, and it was lovely. Like I said, a very similar effect to the Catrice one. It's hydrating, it makes my makeup last, and that's all I really need from a primer. So that's why this I wouldn't really categorize as skincare per se, because both of these products are definitely more like helpful in a makeup routine rather than an actual skincare routine, even though I think both products are promoted as part of their skincare lines. But yeah, I like these. This was a great primer, and I'm stoked to be trying this. And then both brands also came out with setting sprays, one of which I already knew instantly this is not going to work for me, and one that I am actually currently using, the Catrice Hyaluronic Acid Fixing Spray from their Clean ID line. I only just started using it like this week, so I've only used it a handful of times because, again, setting spray is something I like to use up before I open a new bottle. And this is okay, it's really, really wet. So when you spray this on, it looks like your face has just, like you've just come out of the shower, or as if you've, stood in the rain. Like, that's what your face will look like. However, it does settle down, it doesn't mess up my makeup, which I find important, but it does only come with 50 mils of product, which isn't a lot. So I think I'll go through this really quickly. In terms of setting spray, the Catrice Prime and Fine is still one of my all-time favorite when it comes to a drugstore option. So I know Catrice and Essence can both do pretty good setting sprays. And when it comes to setting sprays, I just kind of want it to help with my makeup and make it look a little bit more natural. That's really all I want from it. I don't really expect it to really enhance the longevity of my makeup. So I don't have that many demands when it comes to these kind of products. However, the Hydrating Glow Multi-Use Spray from Essence. It says that you can use it for your face, for your body, and for your hair, and that it has coconut water. But this is so scented. And it starts looking clear, but as you shake it up, these white particles start to disperse in the product, and they are actual shimmer particles. So not only does this make you smell like a Bounty bar, like Dutch Bounty bars, which are filled with coconuts, with coconut flakes, I should say. It makes you smell like that, but it also has sparkle, which is why this went instantly onto the declutter pile, because this is exactly what I'm not looking for when it comes to a setting spray. I really did not like this. And then for base products, I also tried the newly formulated Essence Fresh and Fit Foundation. This was reformulated to now be vegan, and they also put in some other like hyped up skincare sort of properties such as niacinamide. And they also came out with another shade, so I wanted to try that because the shade this originally came in wasn't perfect for me. I tried the Fresh and Fit years and years ago, and for a long time it was the only Essence foundation that I liked. And this is an okay foundation. For the price point, how affordable this is, I think it's actually quite good. The shade range is still not the best. I think it only comes in like 8 shades, which is better for Essence than what they usually do, because a lot of their foundations only came in like 3. But still, it's not the best. Their Pretty Natural foundation is still one that I love over this one because it's much more hydrating. It's got a much better texture for my dry skin, and it comes in much more shades, many more shades, I should say. This is just kind of not, like, if you can find your shade in it and you like something medium coverage and basic and you don't want something too much from your foundation, this can be nice, but it wasn't my favorite. What I ended up liking a lot more was the True Skin foundation from Catrice. Now, I tried this a year ago when this first launched, and I didn't like it at all. It just didn't look right on my skin. Some days it looked really good, other days I felt it didn't work very well. But I also realized that maybe the shade that I had bought was a little too light. This does come in a very extensive shade range. The only problem is that most of the shades are only available online, so you can't test it, you can't look at the shade. So I kind of went out on a whim and was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this first impression, it's nice if I have another Catrice foundation that is actually still available, because my all-time favorite Catrice foundation is no longer for sale. So I was like, you know what, I'll go in with another shade of the True Skin. I bought it in 010 Cool Cashmere, and this shade works for me so much better. And this is why testing out foundations and getting your shade is so important. Like, I've just been able to reiterate that for myself, because this shade is such a good match that I now really feel like I could really try this product a lot better, and it actually didn't look that weird on me anymore. And then they came out with a new concealer from Catrice, the Ultimate Camouflage Cream. This, I mean, it's okay, but these pot concealers, you guys, for my dry skin, they're just not the best. This was nice, it's okay. It's quite comparable to the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. I'm actually thinking that it may be a bit of an affordable dupe. I actually think I want to do like a dupes video at the start of 2021, like 22. It's 2022, yeah. So that next year, like sometime January, I might want to do that. So I'm keeping this one in the back of my head to try against it before filming that video, because I think it may be a good option. And then the All Matte Shine Control Powder from Catrice is a really, really nice powder. It says that it's matte, but also healthy look, natural glow. And I feel that that's exactly what this powder does. I'm wearing it on my skin right now, and it is one of those powders that isn't super translucent. It's not super mattifying. It just adds a nice little finishing touch to your makeup. And that's what I prefer a powder to do. This comes in a shade. It's 100 Neutral Fresh Beige, and I believe it only comes in like 2 or 3 shades. So again, the shade range, not the best. This looked really dark in the pan, but I feel it works really well on my skin tone, so that's a good thing. And I like how it's not too flat and matte looking, but it actually gives you a bit of a glowy finish. Next up for me would be brows, and Catrice had some new brow products as well. The 72-Hour Natural Brow Precise Liner. These kind of products, you know, I try them out for these videos as a first impression. It worked a lot better than I had expected. However, it wasn't as waterproof, and it definitely didn't last 72 hours. The minute it comes into contact with oil, or the minute you get any sort of cleanser near it, it just disappears. So that's why I don't really get the point, and it's too much of a hassle for me to really use this, like, I believe it's like a felt tip, like this felt tip applicator. It's too much of a hassle. The Clean ID Hydro Brow Fixing Gel then by Catrice, I did actually quite like. However, clear brow gel in a tube like this, big pet peeve, because after you've used this a few times, it's going to look all muddy and cloudy and just really yucky. However, this was nice enough. It is more of a fixating brow gel, so it does sort of can make your brows feel a little bit crispy, but this is one that I will be putting in a Shop My Stash soon when my Essence Make Me Brow runs out. This is the next brow gel I really want to get more use out of. Essence and Catrice both didn't come out with a whole lot of cheek products. In fact, Essence didn't come out with a single one. So these are all Catrice, and it's 2 bronzers and a blush. Let me start with the blush. The blush was great. This is the Blush Box Glowing Multicolor in the shade Warm Soul. I have the other 2 shades in this range as well, and it's one of my favorite blush formulas at the drugstore. This is a really nice warm toned pink. It's one of those shades that looks really matte and flat in the pan, but when you put it on, it makes for a really nice glowy, warmish pink kind of look. It was stunning, and there's a reason why I have the other 2 shades as well, and why those still live in my makeup collection, because these are some of the best blushes that Catrice has ever come out with. And then for bronzer, we have the Holiday Skin Bronzers. We have the Serum Bronzer and the Luminous Bronzer with macadamia oil. Let's start with the liquid one. This is okay. It only comes in 1 shade, I believe, so that's a bit of a downside to it. It is a little orangey at first, but I felt it does blend into the skin very naturally. You can use this on its own. You can use it as a layer under your foundation to make your face look a little more glowy and sun-kissed. So it has lots of different usages to them, which is great. However, it's just a little too much of a faff to really use it, because I felt that if I use it under foundations, I felt it didn't do enough. And because the undertone of this is quite reddish, it didn't really go with my skin tone. So that's why I felt it didn't really blend into my makeup the way I'd want it to if I wore this as the only bronzer. This one was much more successful. This comes in 2 shades, the powder bronzer. This is 020 Off to the Island, and I bought this because it looked more cool toned when I bought this online. There were no swatches anywhere, so I kind of, you know, did a bit of a gamble here and hoped for the best, but it worked really well. It looks dark in the pan, but with a very light hand and a sheer brush, I like to use a stipple brush. This works really well. It reminds me a lot of the Butter Bronzer formula, a Physicians Formula. That's what this reminds me of. It also has this like nutty, tropically kind of scent to it, which really disappears really quickly when you put it on. It's not too strong of a scented product, so I do like that. It has a very creamy texture. It's very rich and buttery and smooth. And for how much you pay for this, I mean, I just recently reviewed a Dior bronzer that I said I loved, but I think this is very close to it. Let's do lips first and then move into eyeshadows. So Essence came out with some new lip liners, and I actually tried out all of these lip products already in dedicated videos, so those are linked down below. So if you want to see swatches and all that, you can. And these lip liners I didn't like, mainly because the shades just looked really strange on me. they didn't really, how should I say it? These shades they just weren't flattering. I put all of them on and the shade just had really weird undertones. Like, it looks really pretty in the pencil, like, oh, that's a nice pinky shade, and then you put it on and it just turned really orangey and weird. So that's why I didn't like these soft precise lip liners. Sticking to Essence then, they also came out with the hydrating nude lipsticks and the cool collagen lipsticks. Both of these are supposed to be very hydrating, very natural on the lips, and again, undertones in these lipsticks. Like, the shade range, it's just so boring and bland. And again, they looked a little off on me. Maybe if you have a different undertone to your skin, these can still work. But for me, both of these I didn't like. The hydrating nude still has a really good, like, more like balmy kind of feel. So I did like the formula of this, but the shades just weren't it. And with the cool collagen, I thought the shade range was a little bit better, but the cool in the name refers to a tingling feeling that these give because they have a bit of mint or something in them, and I really, really dislike that. From Catrice then, we have the Volumizing Extreme Lip Booster. I don't think I'd ever tried any of these before. They have an entire line, even with shades of this, that I'm still going, should I try that for a video? But then I'm like, I don't think I would get the use out of those products. This is a lip plumping kind of product, and this has a minty texture, I believe, and it did plump my lips. Not as strong as some other lip plumpers might do. It definitely did make my lips look a little bit fuller, I think. However, these kind of products, to me, they just feel a bit like a gimmick. I don't need my lips to be more plump, so this is a bit superfluous, but I just wanted to try it out for the video. And the same goes for the Peppermint and Berry Lip Balm. Catrice has been coming out with a tinted lip balm every single release, I think, since last year. So they did a mint and hemp one, then they did a watermelon one in the springtime, and now they did this, the peppermint and berry. They are just these really soft pinky shades that just give you a little bit of color to your lips, and then they have a scent. This is my least favorite of the ones I've tried because I feel the sweetness of the berry with the peppermint scent. No. What was more successful for me is their Vegan Collagen Matte line. I'm wearing one of my favorite shades from that video on my lips right now. This is 030 Be Fearless, I believe. This is a different one. But this is Catrice's new matte lipstick range. These have replaced their Demi Matte line, and that Demi Matte line I did also like quite a bit. But these are a very hydrating matte formula. The shade range is really good, and this is just a really lovely lipstick line. So let's get to eyeshadows next. Well, I say eyeshadow, but first we need to chat about some other products. Essence came out with some new eyeliners. These are the long-lasting eye pencils. I picked up a green shade and a brown shade. These are lovely. Essence can do really good, affordable, twist-up eyeliners, and that's what these are. I love these, and this brown shade is lovely. It goes really well with a lot of different things. And the olivey, like cocky shade is really lovely too. These work really well. They're really nice and creamy, and they're very cheap and cheerful. You really don't have to pay a lot for good eyeliners. I think Essence did a great job here. Also in eye products, both brands came out with new mascaras. Now the one I have yet to try is the Essence Lash Princess Curl and Volume. And the reason why I haven't tried it is because I love this guy so much. So I will be trying this. I hope to be able to put it in the next Shop My Stash, because this is on its last legs and I'm squeezing everything out of it because I love it so much. But I will be going into this mascara very soon, I hope. So the one that I'm now currently really loving is the Lash Changer mascara from Catrice. It's their waterproof version because the regular version hadn't come out yet. For some reason I couldn't buy it. I was like, I'll go for the waterproof, I can at least try it. This has like a cone-shaped kind of brush, and I love this little thing. It's very volumizing. It reminds me a lot of the Lash Princess from L'Oreal, and one of those like falsies kind of Maybelline mascaras that I also love. Those are two of my favorite mascaras. But this is only €4 at the drugstore, and I'm loving it. It really volumizes my lashes. I do need to go in with my Glam & Doll from Catrice to separate my lashes afterwards, but I really like the effect this gives. But it's starting to dry out. That's the only issue with Essence and Catrice mascaras. Once you open them, they last for about maybe 6, 8 weeks and then they're done. Now this wasn't a release that Essence came out with as part of their updated line, but they, over the summertime, they released some duochrome, multi-chrome liquid shadows. And they came out with 4 shades, and I have all 4 shades. And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed with these. So in case you have found these and you were looking into these, like, are these any good? I wore one of them on my eyes and it was a mess. They go on very sheer, and in order to build them up, you really need to like let the layer dry, go in with a new layer, and I needed a good 3 layers for it to really look like it does in the tube, which I knew would be an issue because that would mean it would start creasing, and that's exactly what happens. If you just add 1 layer, these aren't very impactful. That's something you should know. And if you add more layers, it will start creasing like a mess. So these are lovely. I think it's very inventive from Essence to do something like this. However, these just aren't punchy enough to really see the multi-chrome effect that these has. And then they also came out with some singles, both brands did. The Soft Touch eyeshadows from Essence. And these are not created equal. I bought 2 shades to give it a try. Eternity, which is like a mauve shade, and Secret Woods. And I was very excited for Secret Woods because it looks like a really nice foresty green, but this felt really lackluster. Once I swatched it, felt very dry, didn't do much. This shade, Eternity, was the icing on the cake that I did when I used this on my eyes for my first impression video. So this is one I definitely want to sort of keep around because it's a really lovely single shadow, but this one is pretty much straight gonna go into the declutter pile. I've got a couple of green singles that I like much better, namely this guy. This is the Catrice single in Golden Leaf, and this is much more what I wanted. So this is like it's gold, but it's got a green undertone to it, and that's the kind of green I like a lot. So this is just a really, really pretty eyeshadow. And last, but not least, eyeshadow palettes. And I actually already have content up with all of these as far as I know. I know I have videos up with the Catrice stuff, and the Essence palettes I reviewed in my most recent 10 palette review. So if you want to see swatches with this, looks with these, then those can be found down below. Now here in the Netherlands, we only have 4 of these. There are 2 additional shades available in the US, a taupe one and a coral one, but I can't buy those. So if you were wondering how I feel about those, I'd love to update you on those, but I don't have them. But I do have the other 4. The Bronze This Way is perhaps the most basic one of the bunch. It was lovely, but it's browns. We've seen browns a million times over, but these are very cheap and cheerful, and they're really nice mini palettes. So I did like the quality of pretty much all of these. Again, the color stories weren't the best because Ice Ice Baby, it's very gray with 2 nearly identical blues that I feel this one or that one could have been a navy matte and it would have been much better. But it's just a little bit too gray for my liking and not as blue. So that's why I like the quality, but the color story was a bit lacking. And sadly, in the end, I felt the same way about the I Like to Mauve It Mauve It. I liked it a lot when I used it in my first impression video, but then I added that single shadow that I just showed you, and I really felt that that shadow took the look to a different dimension. This also ends up being quite gray toned when you use it on its own, and again, there are a couple of shades here where I'm like, do we really need it? I do really like this matte, and I really like this shimmer and this shimmer, but some of the other shades in here, like if this would have been like a deeper plum, it would have been much better. Right now it just stays a bit middle of the road, you could say. It's nice, it's a good one, but I don't love it as much as I thought I was going to. My favorite ended up being Dancing Green, and this is the green tone shadow, and here you do get that deeper shade to really add some versatility, and that's why I like this one. This has the best variety of shades. You get 3 mattes, 3 shimmers, you get everything you need in one little green palette, and it's more of these like grungy greens. Like, it's a really good green palette for the fall time. They aren't too bright, and these are the kind of greens that I think you might like if you are not really sure about wearing color and you love your neutrals, but you want to venture out and try something differently, then this little palette is incredibly great. And I think these are only like, what, 2.50, €3 at the drugstore? And they are very widely available because for a change, Essence actually released these in the US before they came to Europe. What is not yet available globally are these guys, the Catrice 5-in-a-Box palettes. The first 4 were launched in the US over the summertime when we got these ones. Don't ask me when things will be coming your way. I'm not a brand representative, so I don't know. What I do know is that they have released 2 new shades in the 5-in-a-Box line. However, they also discontinued my favorite one from the original 4. Sad day. And the one that replaced my favorite, which was the blue, no, was it called Modern Smoky Look? They released Blue Smoky Look, which is a little bit more gray toned and has a more vibrant blue in here. This was nice, but again, like my critique with the blue palette from Essence, I feel it's too gray toned. I want this to be a navy. And also, the quality of this I feel is different. Not bad, but different from the original 4. The original 4 have better formulas than these 2 have. But the favorite here would be Vivid Burgundy Look, which is a really nice, more, well, reddish toned leaning palette, but it's not super duper in your face red. It's very wearable, still very neutral. This color story wise comes together really nicely, and on my fair skin, this red matte in the middle really sheared out and had a bit of a pinky undertone, which made sense because the shimmer is a rose gold. And if you would like to hear my full thoughts on all 6 of the 5-in-a-Box eyeshadow palettes, then make sure to check the description box down below, because I did do a dedicated video where I show all the swatches and looks with these 6 palettes. And I did the same thing for the Pro Slim palettes. There are now 6 of these that have come out. Some of them were already discontinued, so I don't think you can still buy the entire lineup. But they came out with one new one, which is called Natural Spirit. And like I mentioned, I did review all 6 of these palettes in one giant video. But this is, it's nice. It's a really nice, lovely, basic palette. It's definitely one of my more favorite ones in the lineup. Again, with the Pro Slim line, feel that the quality isn't the same throughout the entire line. Some of the later ones are not as good quality as some of the earlier ones, I feel. However, this is sort of going back to that other more like original formula that I liked. So that was great. It's just a little mediocre in terms of depth. Therefore, it's not the most versatile. Like this top row, just look at how light most of these shades are. And it's quite warm toned, but you do get some lovely like cocky green shades. So I do feel that this kind of breaks into quads almost. Like you could do a look with this, and then you can do a look with that, and then there's this quad. Do you see how you can just sort of move along the palette, and that's how it's used? So I think it's a very good neutral palette with a twist of something interesting, and that's what I appreciate about the Natural Spirit. And there you have it. Those are all the products that I wanted to mention in today's video. All the products that I tried from Essence and Catrice in the past couple of months, giving you all of my thoughts. And I really hope you enjoyed watching. So I hope it was useful, that this helps you to make up your mind. As I already mentioned, I am not a brand representative for Essence and Catrice. If you want to know whether these products are coming your way, you better contact the brands. I have no clue. This is what I was able to get my hands on, and that's why I have them. So, and I'm not sure the websites where I buy from usually ship internationally. They tend to be either EU or the Netherlands. That's what they ship to. So that's why that can be a bit harder to find. But hopefully it can still be helpful if you are seeing these products, that you have a reference for how I feel about these products. So thanks so much for watching today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.